Hello, LAP. Coming to you with your chairman's report. This is not our typical chairman's report. We had an event last night I think everybody's aware of with the plane crash behind the plant. First off, I want to give our prayers and condolences to the folks involved in that, as well as their families. It's a very tragic, and our hearts go out to them. The UAW is reaching out to see if there's something that we can do to help assist, or anything we can do for our Teamster brothers over there. I know the hall's set up kind of a rest station for the firefighters that are working over there as well. And we're doing what we can to try and help every way that we can with that situation. As far as the way that things went down last night, I was there for the majority of that. I had left to go home and literally got to my front porch when I got the phone call. Headed back, dealt with a little bit of traffic, but I got in there kind of while everybody was still under lockdown. Kind of want to recap some things that we found last night. So things did not go smoothly, especially at first with the initial moving of people. There were a couple of things that contributed to that. Number one, we did not have a drill or a set plan as to what it looks like in the event of something like a plane crash outside of the plant. Fire drill doesn't fit, tornado drill doesn't fit, active shooter drill doesn't fit. So it was kind of a new and unforeseen event. That didn't have the proper planning behind it. Another thing that we found the hard way was when the power went out, our digital radio systems are tied to that power. We're working on a plan to get that resolved now, but communication via radio went out when the power went out. So that caused additional confusion, additional problems. So that was a few of the things that we found. We're looking at some other things as well. We are having meetings and discussing what we feel like went well, what we feel like went poorly, and even on the stuff that went well, where we can make improvements on that. So there are going to be some things put in place. We're talking about having some drills that would cover some of this stuff. We're talking about ways to make sure that communication is able to stay intact when we lose power. So while it did not go well, it was something that we were able and are able to learn from and make things better going forward. As far as everybody getting everybody out of the building, I know I heard from some folks last night, that they didn't feel like that went very well. There was a lot of back and forth, and I was going back and forth with the company. The company was going back and forth with the local government, because once that shelter in place was put into effect, Ford was reaching out to the sheriff's office and the police department and the fire department, trying to figure out what we could do to get our folks out of the building and sent home. So that took a little bit of time. There was a lot of back and forth there. I saw that UPS was releasing their people. That's when I started to really press on them, and with the help of the night shift bargainer and our health and safety rep, we were able to get that moving. I do feel like once we got the release, that the evacuation and the emptying out of the building went fairly well. That's probably the out of the whole thing, that was the piece I felt like went the most smoothly. But we did learn a lot from last night, and we are going to make some improvements to that. Again, you can't have a plan for every situation, so we've got to go in and try and make plans going forward. I want to thank our night shift bargainer, Todd McKendrick, and our night shift health and safety rep, Jeff Bailey. If it weren't for the two of them, that would have been a little bit messier than what it actually ended up being. They were extremely diligent in pressing on the company. Had it not been for them, we would have been delayed even further, and things probably would have been even more chaotic than what they were. So I want to thank those guys for standing their ground and putting that fight up. I know Todd and our night shift districts were out there on the floor with the people in the areas throughout the whole thing, and thank you to all of them as well. But again, we've learned some things from that, and going forward, things will be better than what they are now. As far as what things look like today, we got power back on last night around midnight. We currently are at about 70% of our normal power level, which is enough to run everything in the building, turn everything back on rather, but it's not enough to run production. So I've got a lot of people asking me, what is night shift doing tonight? Still trying to sort that out. Now, I have been told Paint should be getting a robocall here shortly to let them know to report tonight. As far as trim and chassis, we don't know where that's at yet. Don't know about the shop or body shop. We haven't gotten that far yet. Those are conversations that are still happening. We have told them the drop dead. We want everybody to be notified by 1 o'clock. So that's what we're talking about, is trying to get it out by then, one way or the other. And there should be a robocall that goes out either telling you that you are working or telling you that you aren't working. So either way, you should get some sort of notification. As far as if they're going to run, there's a lot of moving parts on that. So I talked about the power, how we're at 70%. LG&E is working on that. I don't know that they've got it lined out just yet. It wasn't something where the power went out because of the crash. It was something where, as a safety precaution, the transfer station is back there. The LG&E shut everything off because of what went down and all of the events. Right now they've turned one feed back on, and that's why we've got the 70% power. As far as the other things that we've got going on, so Grade Lane is still shut down. Obviously, the majority of, well, pretty much all of our stock comes in on the entrance over there at Gate 1 on Grade Lane. So if they're going to try and run production, they've got to figure out alternatives to be able to get stock into the plant. That's a hurdle. As far as our health and safety, that's something that we've had a whole bunch of conversations on. Now, the company has done an air quality test. They've been out there with their equipment, and our health and safety rep has been with them. They've been going through testing in random spots all throughout the plant. They're getting good readings. They're getting acceptable data back. We don't have anything that inside of the plant that is of any risk. I can tell you now, I've been out there quite a bit, and I'm not getting any odors or anything inside of the plant. Now, when I'm standing in the parking lot, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, it reminds me of when somebody throws a plastic bottle in the campfire. You can kind of smell a little bit of a burnt plastic smell out in the parking lot. But inside of the plant, there's not any odors or anything going on. Now, because the company has an interest in getting us back to work, I'm not willing to just take their word for it. So we have notified the company that we want a third party to come in and do an air test. And that is going to happen. Should happen before Paint shows up tonight. And they're going to come in with their equipment. They're going to test for the O2 levels, carbon monoxide levels, NOCs, which is some sort of particulate test. I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you that I'm an expert on what exactly that is. But we're getting an air quality test done before anybody comes back in for production. So I did want to put everybody's mind at ease there. We're not going to drag anybody back into the building if it's not safe. Again, I've hit on the robocalls. Those are going to go out either way, letting you know one way or the other. Still trying to figure out the rest of the building. Paint's the only thing we've discussed. Third shift trades should have already gotten a robocall. Third shift trades is going to be working tonight, whether there's production or not. So you guys will be working. Now, I want to give the up and down of this. I know a lot of people would just soon stay home tonight and not have to deal with it. The downside of that is the longer that we're down, the shorter our window gets to get done by the end of the year. So we're not too far off now from being at a situation where we're looking at running 5x10s for the rest of the year. And I know I heard a lot of heartache when we ran the 4x10 last week. So 5x10s is going to be a little rough. You know, it's something we haven't worked those shifts in a while. So, but yeah, if we're down much longer, that's something that's very realistically possible for us going from here till the end of the year. Had a robocall that went out this morning for team leaders and utilities in final, and that did not go smoothly either. First off, the robocall went out to days and nights, telling them to come in at 9 a.m. That call obviously caused a lot of confusion for our night shift guys. It wasn't even supposed to go to night shift. It should have been day shift only. The flip side of that is I got several calls. They did not give proper notification, so that is not going to be an AWOL if you weren't able to make it in. If you showed up at 9:45, you're not going to get marked late. None of that's going to happen. They were just trying to get what help they could in to basically kind of bump everything, make sure everything was working the way it was supposed to. They didn't come in and block build units or anything. They're just kind of making sure that the lines are working, because what happened last night when LG&E cut the power was the equivalent of taking your computer and just pulling the plug out of the wall. Everything didn't get shut down the way that it's used to being shut down. So need to make sure that everything's working before we bring it back up. As far as running or not tonight, I will try to get updates out as I get more information. I've got another meeting at 12:30 to have some conversation and find out where we're at. And as soon as I get some info, I'll try to get it out to you guys. Try to keep you all in the loop as well as I can. But this whole thing has kind of been a moving target. So I wanted to get out everything I did know and kind of get the best info out I could. I know it seems a little irrelevant at the moment, but before I sign off, I do want to remind everybody that the union meeting and resource fair at the LAP Hall is going to be this Sunday, November 10th. The resource fair opens up at 12. It'll be open from 12 to 3, and they're going to be serving food. There's going to be some stuff set up for the kids. If you've got your kids with you, it's going to be a decent little event there. Then our normal union meeting has been moved to 3 o'clock on Sunday. We're going to have it there. It's going to be one meeting this month, so there won't be a days and nights meeting. Everybody is at 3 o'clock, and hopefully you can make it out to one of those. Again, one last time, I want to put out prayers, condolences, and just broken hearts to the families of those that were affected by the accident yesterday. I believe that's all that I've got for this week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.